Hello everyone, this is Jimmy Cultist back again with another part for our exploration game series in Dreams and how to create one. Last time we talked about lighting, but now we're going to be talking about puzzles and how to create them in this sort of game, an easy methodology. I will, however, be copying out some lights just so we have a better view of what we're doing. And I'm going to change this red that I set up earlier to something a little bit more, you know, a little bit more homey. Now I've created this safe for the purposes of our experiment. It's going to be our puzzle. And all you're going to want to need is a little stamped shape that's invisible and non-collidable. Now, we've done this many times before, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. But we must remember to delete the logic present. And we're going to change the color so that we can tell the difference between it and the other one. But this is going to act as a mount for our logic, just as before. Alright, we'll put it down here. Put a microchip, and you know, you don't necessarily have to label it, but we'll do it, we'll make it puzzle just for the sake of, you know, memory. I'm gonna move it down a little bit too. But basically all we're gonna want to do is create a prompt. Stick down this little chip here. And our prompt is going to be very similar to the one that we use to open doors. So if you go in here, we could potentially just copy these things that we use to create that prompt. Copy all of it. Stick it right over here. Now you will have to be careful to adjust these zones when you move one object to another. You know, that's going to be a problem. Or one piece of logic to another position. You have to keep that in mind. But once you have the position of just one of them, you can copy it out. Set it to use. And just replace the other one, that way you, just replace this one, delete it, that way you have the exact position. And of course you're going to have to move the prompt over to here. And we'll call this one Examine. And we'll stick this in here. When this chip is powered on, it will allow us to do all of our, you know, little puzzly stuff. On second thought, though, we might not want to do it to the chip, but just this controller. A controller sensor, you know, is the same thing that we have in the puppet. And basically, it's just a way to set up quick, easy input from your controller into the game. We're going to set it to wireless, or remote controllable, which basically means that no matter where you are in the scene, you can interact with this. And we're going to go ahead and delete this possession wire, because we don't need that. That's pretty much all we're going to have to mess around with for the moment. Now we're going to have to do one little thing, which is take out a keyframe, stamp it out, and we're going to go ahead... Actually, it might be better just to do this, now that I think about it. Can't. And then we're just going to connect this to a NOT gate, stick it in that port. You see? So basically what this is going to do is when we have a zone that touches this chip, which will be quite easy to do because we're going to make it nearly impossible for it not to. When we have this zone set to detect can't, set it to in scene, it's going to shut off our puppet's possession. Now, of course, this is going to be bad in terms of if you don't have anywhere for your imp to go, it's just going to be floating in the room. However, we are going to account for this problem. We're going to have a camera hooked up here in front of the safe. Of course, we might want to move our chip out of the way. Set it to cut for the transition type. And we don't want to disable controller sensor input because we're going to be using that. You can disable the imp if you want to, or leave it visible. Sometimes puzzles employ the imp, depending on your fancy, so maybe don't remove that. And I'm going to go ahead and create a little node, just so we can have a handy wire. It's going to be running into multiple objects, so we'll want that available. And we're going to go in here and take circle, put it in the A output. Now what's this going to do? If we press circle when this is active, we can leave and reset everything back to normal and probably repossess our puppet. We're going to go ahead and try that, but we've got to set up one other little gizmo, which is the position of our puppet. Let's go take a look at what his teleporter. I don't know if we actually installed a teleporter. Well, we might as well do it right now. But basically, this is a teleporter. Allows the puppet to instantly go from one place to another. I've talked about it before. It's good for maintaining puppet positions and angles and whatever you might need, especially if you set it to match target orientation. And we're going to set it to player teller. I realize that teleporter is not spelled T-E-L-A, but is actually T-E-L-E, but I prefer this. It's just a quirk of mine. We'll spell it properly, though, this time, just so we won't confuse our audience. So, player teller. Now we go over here and label this tag player teller. And teleporters can only chase tags, unfortunately, so they can't chase labeled objects, but it doesn't really matter anyway. It's not really important. I just wanted to be sure that you knew it's only tags. And grid snap here, if you're opening this tweak menu with circle, or not circle, but L1 and square, if you've opened this tweak menu, you can adjust the tag's position. And you can use grid snap by grabbing onto this arrow and changing the position. We're going to want to test exactly where our pig fellow is going to be and adjust it accordingly. Good thing is once you have the position, you don't really need to experiment anymore. But that seems like a good spot. Because it connects the power, that way when the pig is there, when all of this is active, he'll be right there standing out of the way of the camera. He won't be obstructing it. So let's go ahead and give this a tiny test. As we can see, the pig isn't in the way, and we can do all of the things we want to. And if we press circle, we can leave, and we're back again in the pig. Of course, there is this small issue with the camera zooming out. However, that can be adjusted for. How do we adjust for that? Well, we just create a little timeline, set it to play once. And we're going to put a switch on it. Why go through all this extra rigmarole? Well, if you want to avoid the camera going outside the scene, it's going to be necessary. But basically, this is what we're going to do. This is the base camera position that we set up earlier. And we're going to set this other camera to smooth. And it's just going to zoom out a little, allowing our camera to get some breathing space before it goes back to normal, meaning that it won't zoom outside the scene anymore. Let's go ahead and give this a try. And as you can see, we can no longer clip through the wall, so that's nice. You can even make it faster if you want. It doesn't have to be this slow. But that's a simple way to fix that problem. Now we're going to get on to the main meat of the puzzle. And what puzzles amount to, there's a lot of variation on them, and I can't go into every single methodology for creating a puzzle. And truth be told, I kind of suck at designing puzzles. I know the logic involved, but I just am not very good at coming up with good brain scratchers. I make them too hard, too obtuse, you know, not very good. But we're going to talk about a very basic puzzle which I know works, which is a combination puzzle. And for this, we're going to take out a text displayer, or a number displayer more precisely. We're going to leave it at 0. And we're going to take out another number displayer, also leave it at 0. Move it over slightly. I'm pretty sure if you've been gaming for long enough, you've probably run into a combination puzzle at some point where they want you to input very specific numbers to progress. Now, in the early days of Dreams, I did not know head or tails, and I did not know how to create this, but now it has been made excessively easy, and I'll show you exactly how. Take out a counter. Now you'll notice this little thing here. This is a thing called count progress. Now what does count progress do exactly? Well, basically, if you set your target value to, let's try 100. Actually, no, let's make it 9. We'll make it 9. You set your target value to 3, it's going to be 33% coming out of this port. 33% power, and also 33%, you know, in numbers or numerical order or whatever you want to call it. Which is going to be useful, because basically what we're going to do is we're going to hook this up here, so that when this counter reaches a certain number, and always remember to play, sometimes you have to play to get this to work correctly. Another thing you have to do, which is somewhat annoying, is set the maximum or the number range to 9. It kind of depends on what kind of logic you're using. Sometimes you don't have to do this at all. I find that with variables it's not necessary, but I really don't want to use a variable for many different reasons. Anyway, we're going to set this to 0. And we're going to go ahead and do this with all of them. And we can take out a handy-dandy little calculator, and this is going to be the source, the main issue with our puzzle, and it's going to create, you know, the final product, shall we say. But basically, we're going to want to set these calculators to equal, and that means that operand 1, if it is equal to operand 2, will send a positive force from this output. And this here is an AND gate. An AND gate needs all of its ports to be active before it will send out a signal. So if 3 ports are active, we'll get a signal. But they have to be active. What we're going to do is create 3 calculators, and we're going to set them, as you can see, 0 is currently equal to 0, so they're powering on our NOT gate. It's nice to know that that works. We're going to take out a text displayer quickly, just as a indicator for when we're getting the right signal. I'm going to set this to open. And of course now, you know, it's open, but we're going to set it so that it's coded. Just take the count progress and put it in operand 1, or the A input. Now we can set what number we want it to be, and I'm going to make the code 2. and leave this one 2, 1, 2. So we're going to have to put 2 counts in this counter, 1 count in that counter, and 2 counts in this counter before we get what we want. Now I'm going to talk about how we can add things to that counter, because you're probably wondering, how do I do that? Well, it's going to be very simple. But before we do that, I want to talk about one other tiny thing. Now, if we input those counts, you know, if we're going up the number range, it's just going to automatically turn this thing on, and it's going to be very abrupt, and that's going to be a little bit weird. So we want a way to input the ability to start the process, you know, to activate it. So we're going to take this node and put it in the power of all 3. Another way you could do it is you could take out a microchip. This might actually be a more efficient method. Put them in the microchip, delete the node, make a new one, and then just hook it up to the power. It's probably quicker. But basically we're going to make it so that when you tap X, put out a timeline, set it to play once. I'm going to go in here, go to X, take its output, put it in the timeline, and basically all this is going to do is power on those calculators briefly for a certain period, which is going to make them active, and that's going to be our method of input, so to speak. You know, for when we want this thing to start. Next, we're going to talk about how we move these counters up, and it's going to be very simple. I'm going to create a little control thing. It's just going to be easier in the long run to do this, but basically we're going to create 4 nodes. Actually, maybe just 2. There's a reason why. And we're going to go to the D-pad, which we're going to use to turn the numbers up. Up button in the top node, down button on the D-pad in the bottom node. And we're going to label this up. And we're going to label this down. And you can see right here, there's handy little ports running in and out for us to use. Up goes to plus, down goes to minus. Very simple, very straightforward. We're going to go ahead and reconnect these. And since their ports are open and we're currently using them, it's nice and easy to select these wires. Go ahead and copy this one. We might as well get all of it done right away. And then just stick them in the corresponding ports. Now that's how we're going to raise the numbers. However, you may notice a little bit of an issue. If we're pressing this on, we're going to be raising all of these counters at once, and we'll have an equal number in each one of them. So how do we select a specific counter? Well, that's where our second bit of logic comes in. Code 1, we'll just call it code. We'll make it a little text icon. And we're just going to put these right on here. Going to delete this stuff. Put this one in here. Label it code 2. We don't want to get confused. And do the same with this one. And label it code 3. Then we're going to take out a selector, stick it in the power of each of these nodes, C in the last one, B in the second, and A in the first. And we're going to set a little thing in here, a little keyframe, which is going to make it nice and handy to tell which one is selected. We're going to do that by turning on the border. We also might want to widen the borders a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and select all these. You can select them all at once and press L1 and square, and what you do to one will affect all of them, so just widen the borders. However, you are going to want to turn off show border for later. Now we have show border on, and we're going to set it so that when this microchip is active, the keyframe will automatically be showing border, and all you have to do is tap power on, and voila, you've got that done. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same here. Just always remember, even when the chip is off, to tap this little button, because that's going to make it so that it's on when the chip is active. Tap the little button. Get in the habit of doing that anytime you're working with keyframes and you want them to be on from the very beginning. And now it's a very simple, move this down, we don't want that cluttering things up. It's just a very simple matter though of sticking this in move to next. So when we push right, it will go to the next one, and when we push left on the D-pad, it will go to the previous one. Now we're going to give this a quick test to see how it all works out. As you can see, we're inputting our numbers. Oh, something seems to be happening. Oh yes, they're resetting. Now the reason why they're resetting is because these counters are being turned off. So we might want to move these counters off of this chip. Just stick them right here. Because they won't be able to input their value if the chip is off. They will be considered off as well. So just stick them outside. Simple fix. Oh yes, we also want to set it so that this code only turns on when the rest of it is on. And we can do this very simply with a keyframe real quick. Just go ahead and turn on the power. One other thing you're going to have to do, well actually you may not have to do this, but turn it off, then turn it on again, and that's going to be power on. And now that they're selected without the keyframe, just turn the power off. Then we're going to connect this to this. Going to label it on. And when that keyframe's on, all the codes will be on as well. And we're going to go in there real quick and... something doesn't seem to be working right. Oh yes, I know what it is. This top number... wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Let me take a look at this again. The middle number should not be able to trigger... oh, I see what it is. It's a simple mistake. This is in the wrong port. It should be in this one, and this one should be in that one. Very simple mistake. Now this would be the code to open it. But we haven't got that ready just yet. Something's not right though. How come the code is not going in properly? Oh, this is why. I forgot that the calculator, it views things marginally, so you have to... let's delete these wires. I'll explain. It views things in percentages of 1, so if you put in 2, it's going to be 0.22 out of 100%, or 1, rather than what we actually want, which is a positive 2, and not, you know, whatever they call that, integers or whatever. I'm not a math whiz, I don't know what that's called. But anyway, we can fix this by just inputting this. Set the upper hand to 9, and I believe if we do this, let's check it out. Yes, it will read 2 out of a maximum of 9. I think we gotta make sure, do we do it to all of them? No, we didn't. Let's do it to all of them. Just set it to 9. If they're all selected, you can easily alter this stuff. Oh, wait a minute. There's one other thing you have to do. Let's take this out briefly so that we can get this going properly. But basically, you're going to have to open those up. I don't know why that is, but you have to press play so that they can adjust themselves. You can press play with R3, just tap the right stick down and that'll press play. And I don't know why Dreams has this weird idiosyncrasy where things have to play before they read their proper value, but whatever, it's cool. Anyway, now that that's done, let's go ahead. Move the code up. And something we didn't do right. Oh yes, I forgot. Connect this to the power. Now we just go up twice, move to the right, go up once, go twice, press X, and it's open. We can even add a nice little animation. And we can also turn off the code if we want to, but I'm going to leave it on. I would like to limit your ability to use the controls, though, once the code is inputted. That way you can't mess with it. So I'm going to turn this off with a keyframe. That means when this timeline is playing, and we're going to set it to play once. You could have it on sustain, but I prefer to have it on play once, just in case. And we're just going to have a little quick animation. Going to set this to linear blend. Don't forget to group these objects so that when the door opens, they all move at once. There. Now we're just going to copy out this one. Set it to keep changes, that way the door will remain open. And we're going to go to sound effects and go to vault, I think would be a good one.
That again.
Or maybe door, if we can find a metal door opening. Well, this will just have to do. You may notice that Dreams has a serious problem with people uploading lots of useless, unprofessional sound effects that bog down the library. It's been a problem ever since the beginning. Wish there was some sort of moderation that could fix that. That would be wonderful. But anyway, let's go ahead and try this out now with all of our little effects added. The animation might not be that good because the door isn't bolted, but I don't care. This is just quick to show you how it would work. And now the vault is open. You can even have it so that when the vault is open, this whole puzzle sequence gets deleted. Of course, then you're going to have that same problem from before, where the camera zooms out past the wall, and you're going to be like, well, that's kind of buggy and weird. All we got to do is just take these two cameras, copy them to this, And that problem is dealt with. But that's a nice simple way to create a puzzle in a game like this. Now, of course, we didn't get anything in the safe, but you could hook up a variable to it so that when you open it, you get something and all that. But I just wanted to show you the basics of how to create a puzzle or an interactable, you know, mini-game sequence, whatever you want to call it. But that's pretty much all the wisdom I have to offer on this particular subject, so I hope you found that useful. Now we're going to give a quick thank you to our monthly subscribers on Ko-fi. May there be many more in the future. There they go. And that's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss another video. If you wish to support our earnest insanity, you can check the links in the description to donate or buy merch. Until next time, goodbye.